Hello, okay, Teachers Maria's here. Welcome to this video. Last time, guys, we already discussed about those useful expressions about lending and borrowing. But I know some of you are really confused how to use those particular words in a sentence. So let's talk about confusing English verbs. Okay, because some English verbs are quite similar and sometimes it's hard to know which one is the right one to use. On this lesson, I'm going to talk about the word to lend or to borrow. And they're confusing because the meanings happen to be very similar but different. But don't worry, in this lesson, I'll be sharing some tips to help you use these verbs correctly. And remember which one is the correct one to use. The main difference between lend, guys, and borrow is the direction of the action. Direction of the action. Okay, so what do these verbs actually mean and how we can use it in the certain situation? To lend means to give, okay? Lend means to give something to someone, okay, for a short period of time, temporary, and expect you get it back again. For example is, I lend you some money when I get paid. Okay, he lent his car to a friend for the weekend. It's important to note that with this verb, there is a difference between British and American English. Lend is used in British English, and instead, loan is used in American English. Now, guys, lend is an irregular verb, so the past tense form becomes lent. Loan is a regular verb, so it becomes loan in the past tense. Can you lend me some money? Or can you loan me some money? Both of these sentences are the same. Okay? So, lend means to give something to someone for a short period of time, very short period of time, and you can't expect it back again. Okay? Now, when we use borrow, we simply need to switch the action to the person who is receiving the item to borrow. Okay? To borrow means to get something from someone with the intention of giving it back. Get something to someone with intention of giving it back. So you don't have plan to keep it. And the person who gave it to you, of course, expect to receive it back again. Now, borrow is a regular past tense verb. So we just need to add ed to make it borrowed in the past tense. Okay? So let me show you. Lend is similar to give and borrow is similar to take or receive. But both of these verbs means that the action only happens for a short period of time or temporary period of time. Let's take it closer, okay? Let's take a closer look. Can you lend me your car for the weekend? Can I borrow your car for the weekend? These two sentences are describing exactly the same situation but from different perspective. Okay, the subject, okay, so the person who is doing the action, the subject, is different in each sentence. Different in each sentence. So the verb must be different too. You can say, can I lend me your car for the weekend? Because the car is not mine. So I can't lend the car to me. I can't lend the car to me or to anyone else for that matter. You can only lend something if it belongs to you. You also can't say, can you borrow me your car? And this is a really common mistake, guys. The person who owns the car cannot borrow it because he is the one or she is the one owned that things. Getting the information about who's giving and who's taking something is really important, okay, when you're using these verbs. So let's make sure you're getting that part right. So we have the subject and lend. Now remember, the subject is the person who is doing that action. So the person who is lending or who owns the object, okay, we have subject with lend on our object pronoun and subject. So the object pronoun tells us who is receiving the action. Can you lend me some money? Okay, now lend can also be directly followed by the object. But if you want to say who's receiving the action, you need to use the preposition to. Okay, so subject, lend, object to someone, and some money to me. Okay, now when using borrow, you can use an object pronoun after the verb. You can say, "Can you borrow me your car?" But you can use subject with borrow and the object. Can I borrow a pen? Then you can add preposition from and the person. Can I borrow a pen from you? Can you lend a pen to Danny? Okay, let's practice, guys. Practice using lend and borrow. When I you my pencil, you said you'd give it back. What do you think is an answer? What do you think? When I lent you my pencil, you said you give it back. Okay, now there's an object pronoun here, so it can't be borrow. Can it? Okay, so and also take note of the tense. Tense, guys, use in the sentence. Use in the second clause. The past simple. So your verb needs to reflect this. Next example is, they said we could blank their chair. And what do you think is the answer? Okay, the correct answer is, they said we could borrow their chair. Their chair is not ours, so it must be borrow. Let's go to the next example. He'll, him, okay, the money if he really needs it. And the correct answer here is, he'll lend him the money if he really needs it. So there is an object pronoun here. So it can't be borrow. Let's jump into the next example or the last example. She asked me if she could blank $500. So what's the answer? The answer is, she asked me if she could borrow $500. Now, the clue here is in the verb ask. Okay? The person who is lending the item is not asking for it, are they? So, it must be borrow. Okay, well, I hope, guys, that lesson was useful for you. Just remember that lend is to give and borrow is to take. And that's it. Thank you for watching and see you on our next lesson.